Whenever I come across one of these videos or blog posts that says something like, "Science has proven the existence of God," I always hope that apologists have come up with something new. I always hope to hear an argument that I haven't heard before and that hasn't been refuted a billion times already. And that's what I hoped when I saw this video called "Believe in God in 5 Minutes, Scientific Proof." I was sorely disappointed.
And one of the questions that I'm asked as a scientist is, how can a scientist really believe that there's something what we refer to usually as God? You know, is this metaphysical whatever acting in the world or producing the world? And the irony is, the question's really a non-starter. Science has in fact discovered God. And you can talk to the hardline atheists and they will say, it looks like science has indeed discovered God.
If you go to cosmology conferences, there's a lot of talk about the origin and nature of the universe. There is no talk about what role God might have played in bringing the universe about. It is not an idea that is taken seriously.
We see here, most amazingly, that on the extreme left edge, it shows a beginning to the universe. Now go back less than 50 years. If I were teaching that at Tech, a person could lose tenure.
This diagram shows that the universe is finite in the past, but given the strange Planck-scale nature of the universe's early conditions, I think it's debatable whether our standard notion of time applies at the Planck epoch. And if our concept of time doesn't apply, a temporal concept like a beginning doesn't apply.
Tryvan realized, and he published in the journal Nature, one of the 2 leading peer-reviewed journals in the world, that you can create something from absolute nothing, provided you've got the laws of nature, quantum physics, and the laws of relativity. In other words, the laws of nature.
How the fuck is starting with the laws of nature the same as starting from absolute nothing? Absolute nothing would be the complete and total absence of everything, including the laws of nature. Also, when somebody says that the universe comes from nothing, that doesn't mean that nothing is some source or origin from which things can come. The only coherent sense in which somebody could say that the universe comes from nothing is in the sense that it doesn't come from anything. In other words, to say that the universe comes from nothing is to say that the universe does not have any source or origin.
So look what science has discovered. We can create the universe from absolute nothing, provided we have the forces of nature. Now the laws of nature, the forces of nature aren't physical, they act on the physical.
The forces of nature aren't physical? What the fuck are you talking about? Dude, you're supposed to read the Bible, not smoke it. How the fuck could any physicist believe that gravity, the electromagnetic force, and the nuclear forces aren't physical?
So if they create the universe, that means they predate the universe.
Okay, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Time does not exist outside of the universe, so nothing can predate the universe. That's a self-contradictory assertion.
So now we have a set of forces, we call them the laws of nature, that are not physical, that are able to act on the physical. They create the physical from absolute nothing. And they predate the universe, which means they predate our understanding of time. Put that together, it sounds very familiar. If you haven't noticed it, that's the biblical definition of God.
Most of the apologists that I know about insist that God is more than just a set of laws or forces. God is a person, a disembodied mind. What this guy is describing doesn't sound like a person at all. Forces are not a mind. Forces are not omniscient. The weirdest thing about this guy is that he's even more wrong about the theology than he is about the science.